Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. I'm, of course, the Battle Room. And today we're here to break down the teams from a $10,000 prize pool tournament. That's absolutely insane. I don't know if there's ever been more prize money in a single tournament. Well, I guess, okay, that's a lie because the World Championships has more prize money than this. But for an online VGC tournament, I don't know if this has been beaten before. Obviously, next week we have Scraw's Grand Champion Festival Tournament or whatever it's called. That will be very exciting, and that one also has $10,000 on the line. And that one's free to enter. This one was not free, but this still, $10,000? $10,000 is insane. The winner ended up getting $3,100. So literally like half a regional win in an online tournament is absolutely crazy. So let's break down some teams. If you're struggling on the ladder, if you're trying to find some inspiration, we've got some teams for you. If you're trying to find inspiration for Scraw's tournament next weekend, we also have inspiration for you. Now, obviously, this tournament was run in open team sheets, so everyone has all the information. Like, you have all their items, moves. You just don't have access to their training of their Pokemon, but you do know their items and moves, which is pretty valuable, obviously. So it does kind of change how you have to approach it, especially if you're building for a ladder. But yeah, we have tons of teams. I'll link all this down below. It's really awesome. You can just click on one, and boom, you have a whole team to look at, right? Like, it's sick, and you can just scroll through, figure out if that's what you want. You have amazing players on here. I mean, like, we have NAIC champions, regional winners, world champions here, world's finalists. So there's a ton of good teams if you want to scroll through here. I'll link it down below. So let's just start with top 16. There are literally so many players. Like, day 2 was 146 players, which is crazy. That's so many teams. But I'm going to focus on the top 16 because these were the best of the best and the people who actually did earn money. Obviously, these first top 16 players, though, did not make it to cut. We do have the cut here was 11. It was a grueling 13-round tournament as well, which is absolutely insane. Let's hop into it. First things first, we have my good friend Toller Webb. Toller Webb is a world champion. He's a senior world champion, but he's also a Masters national champion. He won nationals in 2015 with Mega Gardevoir, so he's back. He's back with his main. Toller actually did give the team away as well, so here's the team ID if you're looking to use it, and then I'll put his stats on the screen real quick here so you can look at them. You can pause the video if that's what you if you want to get these stats. But yeah, Toller's team is pretty sick. Toller, I wouldn't say he loves Mega Gardevoir, but he loves this type of balancey style of team. He's got two forms of speed control here with Trick Room on Gardevoir and Tailwind on Talonflame, which I think is very, very cool. I also think low-key Gardevoir plus Mousehold is incredibly slept on. I think Gardevoir Mouse is really, really good. I've played it for whatever reason in the in-game ladder, or in Pokemon Champions. I've played it like 5 or 6 times in the past 2 days. This must be some trend that is really coming together, and I think it's a really, really solid core that you could look into. So the main idea here is you have 2 modes. We have Trick Room with Gardevoir, which I think is more situational. Like, you really have to read the room and say, hey, they're going to set up Tailwind, or all their guys are really, really fast, so I'm going to set up Trick Room. I don't think it's like a let's lead Trick Room and go, right? But I do think, like, when Trick Room is up, you can start to get going with King Gambit, even Garchomp. But the main idea is, of course, Tailwind. So we have Tailwind with Talonflame. Talonflame actually has no item. He doesn't have an item because Acrobatics' moves power is doubled when there's no held item. So Toller just ran no item, which I think is really, really cool. Most Sneaslers as well are not running. They usually are white up, they're not running Sash. So I think Acrobatics giving that extra damage, that extra oomph, is super, super worth it, especially because, again, items are so hard to come by that just not running one is kind of lit. So we have Acrobatics. We also have Tailwind here to help enable Gardevoir, Garchomp. We have Earthquake plus Tailwind spam, right? You can also sweep with King Gambit or Rotom and Tailwind as well. It feels pretty strong. I actually have been testing this team out a little bit, and I've really enjoyed it. I think Gardevoir is in a really good place. But where the real strength comes in is also this Mousehold. I think Mousehold plus Gardevoir, just as a lead or as a duo, is incredible. It shuts down stuff like Sneasler because, again, they have to close combat into Mousehold to get the KO, but we have Chople Berry, so we don't die. So it's really good into Sneasler. It puts a ton of pressure on it. It also is just so good into stuff like Floette. Being able to just Super Fang and Hyper Voice and just smack them with it is sick. Admittedly, really sick. It's just like not many Pokemon in the game can deal with it. I literally was fighting a Scizor today, and I just kept Gardevoir safe with Mousehold, and I just Hyper Voiced it down. Like Mega Scizor, no match. I feel like it's just such an all-around great pick to pair with Gardevoir. Helping Hand is a really cool tech as well in case you're getting faked out or it's about to go down. So you're like, all right, ship's sinking. Time to throw a little help Gardevoir's way. Yeah, but this team I think is really solid. It's a very good, like, just all around good balance of a team. And then next up we have Michael Kelsch, also the World's 2023 runner-up. Michael was kind enough to share his team as well, and he did give us the stats. So if you want the stats, pause the video. But he did give us the stats and the rental code, so that is really awesome from him. But yeah, his team was kind of insane. We have Como, Gengar, Garchomp, Tinkaton, Rotom, and Tyranitar. I think Gengar seems... Gengar is just kind of a Pokemon that I think not a lot of people are using as much as you'd think, right? I think Mega Gengar is obviously an incredible Pokemon, but we're just not seeing a ton of it, and we're not seeing a ton of it at the highest level. Like, we got 1, 2... There were no Gengars. No Gengars in Top Cut. 0. So these were the highest placing Gengars. We'll talk about that team in a sec. But yeah, Gengar is just not performing as well as you would first think, in my opinion. So it's kind of interesting to see it here. I do like his moveset a lot. I think Sludge Bomb, Shadow Ball, Icy Wind is a really cool set. It really can help enable your other Pokemon. I think Gengar's biggest issue is the rise of King Gambit as just one of the best Pokemon in the game. Like, King Gambit is just him. So, like, having to deal with the best non-Mega Pokemon with your Mega being weak to it just feels kind of rough. But I do think Michael has a cool team here. We have Tinkaton as well to help enable either Como or the Gengar, right? We have Encore on Tinkaton, so when you're trapped in that Shadow Tag, it can feel really unbearable to deal with. And then we have a supportive Rotom, Scarf Garchomp like we mentioned earlier, and then a Como. I think Como and Gengar is a really disgusting duo. It's just like... it just can be tricky, right? Like, I also think the rise of that Chople Berry makes him he's still very reliable at dealing with King Gambit, but he doesn't get to one-shot it, which I think is kind of annoying because Gengar's like, dude, I really need that guy gone. But I think Como Gengar is still really strong. I like the choice of Dragon Fang for that extra damage. We usually see leftovers, but having that Dragon Fang is really scary. Scarf Garchomp, I've mentioned before, is an incredible Pokemon. I think it's just really good. It's probably the fastest Scarf guy you're really going to use. It can outspeed stuff like Basculegion. It also does not need to run Jolly. Like Basculegion is the best Pokemon in the game, and you do have to run Scarf on him, or you usually do, but his Scarf form usually runs Jolly, whereas this Garchomp can just run Adamant and get big damage, right? And I think it's kind of cool, especially with Gengar, to set up traps where Scarf Garchomp can come in, you pin something with Shadow Tag, they're trapped, they can't switch, and Garchomp can just finish it off with one of his great stabs. Wash Rotom has surprised me. I think Wash Rotom is pretty good. I like him. I think I was a little weary because Wash Rotom hasn't been good for 10 years, man. He's been on the watch, but now he's looking pretty solid. He's looking pretty good. And then, yeah, the Tinkaton is kind of crazy, but I like the moveset, right? Gigaton Hammer is so scary. I think that steel coverage is super valuable, especially into things like Floette. It allows Michael to potentially play around his other Mega if he needs to. Just having this really good, reliable Floette answer in Tinkaton is sick. Fake out Encore again is really fun with Mega Gengar. Trapping something in with Encore, perfection. And then we have Mega Tyranitar as the second Mega. I think the team probably struggles a little bit with with Charizard. So having a Mega Tyranitar is like the best thing you could possibly have. I think it's a really cool, well-rounded double Mega team. He said he built it really quickly. So this is definitely a team that I want to try out, though. It looks really fun, especially in the current meta. And then next up here, we have a Japanese player, Kiyoshiro. With a Charizard Mega Floette team. This team is literally just the best guys. I think this is the best guy team, right? We have two Megas here with Charizard and Floette, and I think that they do pair kind of well together. I think there's a lot of pressure. Like Charizard is really centralizing, and he can be really you have to bring certain Pokemon to deal with Charizard, and those certain Pokemon such as Garchomp or Tyranitar hate Floette. So I think baiting them in and then just going the Mega Floette mode feels really good. But at the same time, Charizard is also just a good Pokemon. He's just very strong. So I think they just make a pretty good pair. This Floette is actually really, really offensive. It is a Dazzling Moonblast Light of Ruin set. It's just about dealing as much damage as humanly possible. The Aerodactyl with Citrus Berry is absolutely absurd. Considering Focus Sash is completely available, the Citrus Berry is kind of wild, but I guess with the Sun, you are able to survive Flip Turn from Basculegion and heal up, I guess. It's kind of crazy. It's just the normal set. Well, I guess actually it doesn't even have dual Wing Beat. Oh my god, it doesn't have dual Wing Beat, it's a Wide Guard. That's crazy. And then we've got double ground Garchomp with Dragon Claw with Soft Sand. I like the double ground with Soft Sand. I feel like it makes a little bit more sense. And then you're just saying, hey, Aerodactyl, you're going to be the Rock Slide guy, and we're going to need you to Rock Slide those Charizards. And then we got Low Kick King Gambit with Chopal. This set is just fire, just incredible right now. And then we just have the Scarf Basculegion once again. Even though it's a Charizard team, Basculegion is just so broken in this format that I think it just makes a lot of sense. Especially if you just lead it and like protect Charizard, or you just Flip Turn, Heat Wave, and you just start putting pressure on, and you can just pivot him in and out, and then in a late game Last Respect sweep just works. I think it's a really, really strong team. This is just like 6 of the best Pokemon all in one team. Then we have Aaron Brock with a team consisting of Mega Scizor. That's actually crazy. So, oh no, we got double Mega. It's Mega Scizor and Mega Aerodactyl. I think Mega Scizor is really, I'm not going to say he slept on, because it is really early, and I think people are understanding how strong Scizor is, like right here. But I think Mega Scizor is in a really, really good potent space. Mega Scizor is just so good into Floette. Obviously, it also gets close combat, so it can pressure stuff like King Gambit as well. He's just so solid. He's so bulky. He's so hard to deal with. And also, I feel like Incineroar has been on a steady decline. I mean, we see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6. More than half are in the top cut here. He's still very good. But yeah, I think he's been on kind of a decline, especially with the rise of stuff like King Gambit and Milotic here. And even if Incineroar is on the enemy team, we have a Milotic ready to go, ready to put pressure on. So I love the fact that Milotic is paired with Scizor here. So even if this Pokemon that I said was falling is there, we still got a good friend Milotic to help us out. Icy Wind Life Dew is really, really cool as well. But yeah, I think Scizor just matches up well into the meta stuff. We have a Life Dew Matcha Gotcha Colberberry. Is that Colberberry? Yeah, it's Colberberry. So that's the dark one. So we got Colberberry to try and take a King Gambit hit. Also, I think just there to like enable everything else, right? We have a Quiver Dance Volcarona, we have Milotic, we have Scizor, all very, very bulky Pokemon that I think will really appreciate the healing from Hospitality and also Life Dew. And then we have Mega Aerodactyl. Obviously, if our main Mega is Scizor, having a secondary Mega that is really, really good into Charizard feels good. Like, we need to deal with Charizard, and Mega Aerodactyl is one of the best Pokemon to do that. He outspeeds other Aerodactyls as well. Like, you could literally lead Scizor plus Aerodactyl and press Bullet Punch Rock Slide into the enemy Aerodactyl, and it will go down. I think another cool part about Scizor is he's actually very, very good and potent outside of his Mega form. Like, he can still be brought to games, and he can still be very useful. But yeah, Mega Aerodactyl is starting to show itself as a pretty solid secondary option, but also just like, he's pretty good. Like, the way, the pacing of the game and the speed of the other Pokemon, I think Mega Aerodactyl does end up being kind of a solid Pokemon. Then we also have this Volcarona here with Struggle Bug, Heat Wave, Quiver Dance. That's kind of crazy. That's a wild set. But you have double spread move here, and Struggle Bug has great utility. We haven't seen a lot of Volcarona. Volcarona is in the game, but I feel like Volcarona was really abusing Terra in the last format we saw it in. It was really solid in. And now that it's just 4 times weak to Rock, and let's be honest, we've played this game together. Rock Slide is really, really good. It's probably one of the best moves in the game, and everybody's running it. So Volcarona being weak to that does suck a bit, but the thankful part here is we do have Scizor to help deal with those rock types or those rock slide spammers, and also Milotic. So I think Volcarona can work here. And then we just have a Haban, Berry, Hydreigon. We do need something to help with that evil Basculegion Pokemon. So having Hydreigon makes a lot of sense here with Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, and Snarl. Another stat dropping set. But yeah, I think Aaron Brock's teams are cool. Aaron Brock is a really incredible player. I always love to see what he's using. And then we have Francesco here with another Mega Gengar team, so the last one. So this is actually going to be more of a... This one's kind of interesting because it's a Perish Song variant, but without Substitute. Usually, you don't see Sludge Bomb and instead see substitute to make just Parasong really, really consistent. Parasong is a pretty solid strategy in the current format. I'm sure we're going to see it ebb and flow in terms of viability, because once the Parasong's team becomes really, really good, you know how to deal with it. But it is really good as like a Parasong mode. I think Parasong is really good, and it's just going to take some time for people to figure out. I'm sure at the first regional, or maybe even next weekend, we're going to see a really incredible Parasong team. But we've got it here with double stab. Obviously, Sludge Bomb is really, really valuable to hit enemy Floettes as well. And then we have a Black Glasses King Gambit. So the reason you run Black Glasses is actually to get the one shot on Basque Legion. Without Black Glasses, that guy lives. So having Black Glasses gives you that little extra damage that puts you over the top to get the KO. Very cool. Low Kick is also just very good in the mirror and for Incineroar. Then we have a Sinistra with Matcha Gotcha, Trick Room, Rage Powder, and Protect. Yeah. It's putting me to sleep. It's good, right? Sinistra is very, very good, and Incineroar is very, very good next. I think they just kind of make the Perish core. Also, another important thing to note here is every Pokemon on the team has Protect, because we do have Parasong, so that is incredibly valuable. Usually Incineroar does need to run it on the Parasong variants, and so does Sinistra. Sinistra just keeps everybody healthy, keeps that trap intact. Just healing up Gengar, healing up Incineroar to make sure they stay alive. And then Incineroar, he's there. He's boring. He's got Chople Berry, which I think is very good. I think that probably is one of his best items right now because of how good Sneasler is. And then we have Como. I think, again, I've mentioned earlier, Como paired with Mega Gengar is fire, dude. It's so, so good. It's just like, they just have really good synergy, right? Like Gengar, he's great into the fairy types. He's great at shutting them down. And Como is great into the dark types, the steel types, right? The Pokemon that threaten Gengar. And in general, he's just kind of good spamming Clanging Scales, Klingorious Soul into Clanging Scales. And then we just have Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl is just like an S tier Pokemon. He's just very good. He gives us Tailwind, he puts pressure with Rock Slide, and shuts down Charizard, which this team could struggle with, so it makes sense. Aerodactyl really is the Charizard Slayer. And then finally, we have Francesco here. Oh no, we already covered Francesco. Okay, cool. So now we're into top 11. So this is going to be the players who did get top cut. They had to go 11-2. These players were very, very close. They just bubbled out of it. I still wanted to cover their teams though, because they were some of the highest performing players in the tournament, even if they didn't make top cut. So now we have top cut. Let's start with Pablo. Pablo's got a Mega Floette team. We're probably going to see a lot of this Pokemon now. So Mega Floette is obviously very, very good. This one is actually a much more aggressive version. This team's cool. I like this team. This team's crazy. Okay. Let's break it down. Let's do it one by one. So Garchomp. This is the standard Garchomp set. Earthquake, Rock Slide, Dragon Claw, Protect is just the best Garchomp set in the entire game right now. I think it's incredible. I think it puts the pressure on. Haban is a cool item, right? Like, you just threaten everything with your amazing coverage. You threaten the mirror as well with Dragon Claw. And then Haban just allows the mirror to go a little bit more favorably, gives you a little more bulk. Also, importantly, it helps with Como as well, being able to take the Klingorious Soul boosted, or the Clanging Scales boosted attack. And then we have Floette. Floette is obviously the best Mega in the game. This Pokemon is absolutely insane. But this one as well is running Light of Ruin. No Calm Mind. We do have Fake Out on this team, but no redirection. So they're just saying, hey, I want to deal as much damage as humanly possible with the little flower. And that's what this set does, right? Just all fairy moves, just abusing the Fairy Aura boosted fairy moves. Then we have Aerodactyl, of course. Aerodactyl makes a lot of sense here because our team is very, very aggressive and really, really fast, right? Like Garchomp paired with Aerodactyl, incredible. Floette as well paired with Aerodactyl is incredible. It's also a reliable Charizard answer. You guessed it. But I think he's just the best Tailwind user. I think that Talonflame and Whimsicott have use, and I think they are good, but Aerodactyl is that really consistent, potent Tailwind user who also matches up well into one of the best Megas in the game, which is Charizard. Again, Rock Slide for Charizard, Dual Wing Beat for Sneasler, and Tailwind. Very simple set. Then we have Aegislash. Aegislash has been on the rise lately. It is very, very good into enemy Floettes, and he's just kind of a good, potent ghost type, right? This one's actually running Sacred Sword though for enemy King Gambits, which I think is really, really cool. Poltergeist is just a strong, good, consistent ghost physical move that we use now. Shadow Sneak priority is good, and then King Shield so it can switch between the stances. Then we have Scarf Rotom. Scarf Rotom is evil work. He is so good into enemy Aerodactyls. You can literally lead Rotom Floette, Rotom Garchomp, press Electroweb, and then press Rock Slide or Dazzling Gleam, and the enemy Aerodactyl is gone, dude. He's just so potent in the enemy Aerodactyl mirror. He also, if you both have Aerodactyl and you're setting up Tailwind and you both set up Tailwind, Rotom in the back can be really valuable as well because it allows you to just have more speed control than your opponent. So I really, really like Scarf Rotom here, especially paired with Aerodactyl. And then Will-O-Wisp on the Scarf Rotom is pretty crazy though. You usually see Volt Switch. And then we have Incineroar with Helping Hand, which I think is kind of cool. Incin with the Floette to help enable the Floette further, deal that big damage. I think it just makes a lot of sense. I think Incineroar is obviously still a good Pokemon, even though the use hasn't been as great as it could be. Next up, we have Calculus. Calculus was a profound Dozo player, one of the best Dozo players in Europe, and Calculus decided to change it up. There is no Dozo, so he's proving that he's still sauced with it even without it. So we have another Mega Scizor team and a Mega Floette. But this one is much more of the traditional Floette type of teams you see. This is a Protect the Queen Floette team, right? We have Moonblast, Dazzling Gleam for our damage, Calm Mind. This one actually has Calm Mind. So we can enable that with Fake Out. We can just lead these guys, press Fake Out, Calm Mind, get going. Or we could Fake Out, Calm Mind, switch to Cine, heal Floette, and get going. Or we could Fake Out, Calm Mind, Protect, Parting Shot, bring in Aerodactyl, set up the Tailwind, and now we're faster than everything. Those 4 Pokemon, the first 4, are just disgusting together, right? They're all built around enabling Floette, and then Floette's worst matchup is Charizard, of course, which we have Aerodactyl for. You guessed it. So it just kind of works really, really well. I think the Floette teams that use these 4 are just really solid. I'm not going to say they're dated, because they're not dated at all. It's just more focused around Floette and making it into the carry of the team. Then we also have Mega Scizor, who I think works really well with the pieces, right? Like, let's say Floette isn't good. Like, they're fighting against Gengar or something, right? Well, now you just Fake Out Swords Dance and then heal him up with Sinestro, right? Mega Scizor just kind of slots in perfectly where Floette is, and you can just start sweeping with him. And then also, enemy Floettes hate seeing Scizor, maybe in the Floette mirror, right? Scizor is very, very impactful. And then also we have another Fake Out user who also is very, very annoying. He can help enable Floette. He can also kill enemy Floettes. He can enable Scizor as well. So I think it's just like a really strong setup-oriented team. And then we have Conan. Surprised he was allowed to play, but it is what it is. So this is a Mega Charizard Garchomp team. Again, this was very similar to the other Japanese team we saw. I think it was almost identical. Was it not? Let me see. Yeah, it's the exact same. Cool. But yeah, again, it's just all about like using the best Pokemon, and then you enable that with Tailwind. You have these Charizard and Floette, which are just, they both, the cool part about Charizard and Floette is they synergize well with these last 4 Pokemon. You really can just run Floette with them, or you can run Charizard. So I think it is really, it's a really cool team. I think it's really solid. Nothing else to say really there. And then we have William Brown with Mega Meganium. Mega Meganium in the top cut here. Mega Meganium is actually, I think, pretty solid. We saw in a friendly match this last weekend, 2 of the world champions played, and Polar Bear, our current world champion, was using a Meganium Rain team as well. This one doesn't really have any rain, but was using Meganium. I think Meganium is surprisingly solid. You have to obviously be very, very careful of stuff like Sneasler. Also, like Floette being as good as it is kind of sucks for Meganium, because you're weak to the same things, right? Like King Gambit's looking to hunt you down. You're gonna get hunted down by stuff like Sneasler as well. Incineroar just smacks you for a ton of damage. But I think Meganium is really solid. I think Weather Ball is a very, very good move. And being able to hit a lot of the steel types, especially in rain, it does so much damage. This team doesn't have rain, but in general, just hitting stuff like being able to one-shot King Gambit is very valuable. Solar Beam, that grass coverage is really nice, and Gleam is pretty solid. I think Meganium is a solid like B to A tier, but I think like on the right team, it could easily win tournaments. So no surprise to see it here. I guess a little surprise. Then we got Basculegion, the best Pokemon in the game with Scarf Adaptability. Sneasler, the second best Pokemon in the game with Unburdened, the White Herb set. Just really, really strong Pokemon paired with Meganium. Tailwind from this Aerodactyl that we see so commonly. But I think Tailwind does help Meganium a lot as well. I think it's just fast enough to really abuse Tailwind, which I think is really cool for it. And then we got King Gambit, surprisingly with no Protect, which is kind of crazy. But this team also does have Farigiraf, which is a Pokemon you don't see a lot of in the current meta. But I think the King Gambit set is kind of neat with the context of the Farigiraf set, especially in Trick Room. You can get this guy going. And I think those cover, like, the sucky part about King Gambit is you do want all 4 of those moves, and it's so hard to give up one of them, right? Like Iron Head is your flow-at answer. Low kick is so good in the mirror, especially if they don't have it. Kowtow is so consistent. Sucker Punch is always there. I'm not budging on that. You have to have that. But usually you have to pick one of these 3, right? But William said no. I'm running all 3. So that's pretty sick. We also have Farigiraf again, setting up Trick Room with that Culver Berry to keep it safe from dark type attacks. I think it just also seems like a pretty solid like support Pokemon. In Tailwind as well, blocking Fake Out can be valuable. Putting a lot of pressure on stuff like Sneasler as well. Just one-shotting Sneasler. Also just Trick Room is something that is, I think Trick Room is really good. It's just sometimes really tricky to set up. Like you don't want to run a dedicated Trick Room team. So having that mode can be really, really valuable. And then next up, we do have Francesco here. So, oh yeah, William is the first top 8 member. I should have mentioned that, but we are in top 8 now. So these guys are getting mad cash. 520, dude, 520. So next up, we got another Mega Scizor. Mega Scizor was kind of that guy for this tournament. Also, I totally missed it. That's also Charizard X. So this team looks sick, dude. I think this team also got 2nd place here. So I think they, oh no, it's a little different. No, it's completely different. There's your Tyranitar. Well, let's talk about it. So Scizor, Charizard X, both the Pokemon who hate Intimidate and who hate Incineroar. Pair that with Milotic, and we're cooking. I think Milotic is in a pretty good spot. There's not a lot of Pokemon that actually deal with bulky waters super well, and there just aren't a lot of bulky waters. So I think Milotic can have incredible value, especially, again, paired to Charizard, paired with Incineroar. Like, it just deters the enemy Incineroar so greatly. So we got Charizard X. This guy's kind of neat. He's very, very good into enemy Charizards. He's solid into Floette. Obviously, Scizor is great into Floette. He's also pretty good into stuff like Gengar. Like he's just all around. He's an all-rounder. I've used him a little bit, and I've been a fan of what Charizard X is able to put out. And then we also have that Scizor again, who is great into Floette, solid into Gengar. I think Mega Scizor, I think he's going to be so sick. I think he might, because of the way the meta is trending with Floette and stuff like that, I think Scizor might be the guy, dude. He might be the chosen one to destroy Floette, because we don't have Metagross, we don't have Mawile, so it's his time to shine, baby. Mega Scizor. So, okay, Mega Scizor. Then, we have 2 Pokemon that really like to set up with Swords Dance and Dragon Dance, so we pair that with 2 of the best Fake Out users in the game. We also pair it with a coaching user, so we can coach up either Scizor or Charizard, and then, let's say we need a little bit of healing. Boom, boom, boom. We have that healing with Sinesha. This is just like a really solid team where it's like, hey, pick your Mega, pick your support, go crazy. I think this team looks sick. We have Recover instead of Life, do that a little personal, a little selfish healing for Milotic, but that never hurt anybody before. Icy Wind is also sick for to pair with this Charizard and to pair with Scizor. But yeah, I think this team looks really cool. I'm a big fan of this. It's kind of cool to see, like, since this is like a huge tournament that people wanted to participate in, we're kind of seeing people pull out all the stops. We're starting to see the sauce, if you will. Now, next up is a Mega Frostlass team and Mega Aerodactyl. Once again, I think it makes a lot of sense, again, because what is Mega Frostlass's biggest weakness? Charizard. What does Mega Aerodactyl do? Slaughters said Charizard. So we have, and also he can be used without his Mega. I think that's the value of Aerodactyl too. It's like you totally can just not Mega him and just start going nuts with Tailwind. So Mega Frostlass though, I think what makes Mega Frostlass good is obviously Aurora Veil. Also Blizzard Spam is so good into a lot of teams, right? Having that weather control can go nuts. Pair that with this Unburden guy, you can press Fake Out. It's also really good into enemy Sneasler, don't forget that. But you have the Unburden Sneasler, one of the best Pokemon in the game. Sash Basculegion is very cool as well. Basculegion is just so good. And I think Sash is just kind of an underused set on it. It's really hard to deal with in the end game. If it just hits you with those last respects, it can go nuts. Obviously, this team doesn't even have any like Sun or anything, so you can also get rid of Sun potentially. I don't know if you do that. You'd probably use him to do that. But yeah, he's just a solid Pokemon. And in the late game, Sash Basculegion goes nuts. We saw it a bit in Regulation H as well. I think it's just kind of the pendulum swinging of like Scarf, Sash, Swift Swim, like whatever Basculegion is the best, he's constantly rotating like a circle, right? A wheel. The wheel of the meta, if you will. And I think Sash is a cool set, though. Then we also have this cool King Gambit set with Iron Head, Low Kick, and Sucker Punch. So it doesn't have the Kowtow Cleave that we normally see, which is kind of interesting. But opts to run the double coverage moves. So like Kowtow, obviously the lack of Kowtow does suck into stuff like Basculegion, but we do have our own Basculegion, we have Frostlass, we have ways to potentially deal with it, we also can just Sucker Punch it. And then we have Citrus Berry Garchomp, which I am a big fan of. It just makes him so bulky. And if you run enough bulk, you can actually live 2 Sneasler Coast Combats, which I think is pretty sick as well. But again, this classic moveset, he pairs really well with the Hail Mode and Aurora Veil, but also with his boy Aerodactyl, just spamming Tailwind Rock Slides. They can Rock Slide together as the Rock Slide brothers and just take the games home. But yeah, really solid, cool team from Pecho there. I really like that one. Next up, we have a hard Trick Room team. Now, I actually do have the rental code for you right there. It just has the rental code, so if you want the stats, you will have to go into the game to get the stats out, but I thought I would still provide that if that's what you wanted, if you want to use this team. But this is going to be hard Trick Room. Was this top 8 still? Yeah, it was top 8. Hard Trick Room in this format is just not really seen, but the hard Trick Room guys are always cooking. They're always trying to make Trick Room work. So this is like kind of a weird version of it, but I think it's kind of cool. So we have White Herb and Incineroar, which you're probably wondering is like, dude, why are you running White Herb? It's so good into the mirror. It's kind of like a pseudo fake Clear Amulet, because Clear Amulet Incineroar paired with Furgraph was very strong, but now we don't have that, so now you run White Herb with Furgraph. So you're able to fake out, set up Trick Room, bring in the Torkoal, start sweeping, right? But you also have this really strong Incineroar that can sweep next to Torkoal and Trick Room. He can set up with Hatterene, he can set up with Furgraph. You just have kind of a guaranteed Trick Room setup, and I think a lot of teams are weak to Trick Room. So you lead Fake Out, you set up Trick Room, these guys get going. And then King Gambit has Swords Dance to help enable Trick Room further, but also when Trick Room ends, he can start firing off Sucker Punches, which I think is valuable. Hatterene is pretty simple here. It's just trying to deal as much damage with Gleams and Psychics. It's kind of like a funny, like, without Psychic Terrain, it feels like it's garbage, but at the same time, I think it is just pretty solid. So, like, having that Fairy coverage is valuable, but it's just kind of funny to see Hatterene like this. It's also just another Trick Room setter that can't get taunted. And then Furgraph, again, we're just setting up Trick Room with Hyper Voice. We have some good damaging options. Torkoal is our Sunsetter. He can do a lot of damage. Eruption's just sweep in Trick Room. Weather Ball is really good in Trick Room. And then Earth Power is just good coverage. And then we have Charizard as our Mega, who's kind of a crazy Mega, but I think it kind of works, especially if you pair it with Furgraph. You're able to lead these two together and just say, hey, I'm just going to deal big damage on you, right? Like, you sometimes just could lead them. When I played against it, they led it into me, and they just threatened Helping Hand Heat Waves for a little bit until all my Pokemon were chipped down, and then just set up Trick Room, right? Or you can just set up Trick Room while he's threatening a big damage in an Oko onto something else. So I think it's a really cool take on Trick Room, and I think Trick Room is just a weird kind of rogue strategy right now that just hasn't been fully established yet. But I think Trick Room is always good, and the hard Trick Room guys will figure this out. So next up here, we are into top 4. So our first top 4 team is none other than Joe UX9, Joseph Ugarte. Joe is obviously an incredible player. Very solid. And whenever there's a new game, he's always itching to find his comfort. I feel like Joe I don't understand how his team building process works or how he builds his teams, but he just picks one Pokemon that he picks a strategy or an idea that he just really sticks to. And I feel like in this Champions format, Joe thinks Mega Tyranitar is the best, and he's locking in, putting all of his investments, all of his stocks on Mega Tyranitar. So this is a Mega Tyranitar team paired with Excadrill. Like, honestly, if you look too, Excadrill is just not really seen. Like, I'm not seeing one, dude. I might have missed one, like, actually, but we can go down, and I just don't think he's very popular right now. Now, Excadrill is pretty solid, but he's not number 1 like he used to be. But at that same time, he is very consistent. He's also very fast, outspeeds most of the format, and can put pressure on with Rock Slide, Earthquake, or Iron Head. He also matches up really well into Floette. So Joe's got a really solid Floette answer right off the bat. He's got a great Charizard X answer, and then he also has Corviknight, who has Tailwind, can help enable his Tyranitar. He also just really likes this, like, not that you need to set up Tyranitar at all, but he really likes this one with Low Kick, which I think is pretty valuable too. It's great in a King Gambit. It will outspeed it most of the time. It has that good coverage. Consistent into enemy Tyranitars as well. Just a good Pokemon. I think Tyranitar's coverage is what's really carrying it, right? Like, Rock Slide, kill Charizard. Knockoff, great into the ghosts, like Floette. Like Sinestcha, like Frostlass. He's good in a Frostlass too with his Sand. He wins the Weather War really reliably. Low Kick is great in the King Gambit and the other steals. He's good in Aegislash. He's just a really strong, hard hitter of a Pokemon. Maybe Joe's like hard. I mean, obviously Joe's hard cooking here, but maybe he's onto something that other people aren't necessarily looking at. Then we have Corviknight. We got Tailwind mode, which I think is great. Also having Roost bulk up. He's good in the Floette as well. Obviously no Iron Head, but if you get a bulk up, you can smack Floette. Floette hates seeing this guy coming as well. I think Corviknight is also just like pretty annoying into a lot of Pokemon. There's some Pokemon like just really hate to see him. Whether they can kill him or not, he can just get going. And there just aren't a lot of electric types in here. Then we have a Scarf Hydreigon, which is very cool. I think Scarf Hydreigon is really sick because it's really good in the Scarf Basculegion. And you can just kind of lead it and put a ton of pressure on. Then we have a Support Rotom, which is just always good. This set, again, has really surprised me. I tested it last night, and I really, really liked it. He was very bringable, very splashable. I was kind of sleeping on your boy Rotom. He's very good. And Will-O-Wisp is cool into like all the physical attackers because part of the reason the Scovillain is like pretty solid right now is because the meta is all physical attackers. So I think having Wisp Rotom makes sense for that same reason. There's a ton of physical attackers. And then finally, Joe has Mimikyu, which is kind of a wild pick, but at the same time, I think it's pretty solid in this format, right? He's running Mental Herb. I've tested Mimikyu myself. I was really blown away with how good it is. He's got Shadow Claw, Shadow Sneak. He can help take down Basculegions. He can put pressure on there. Fairy attacks are very, very valuable. He doesn't have a Fairy on the team, so having this this Play Rough as well can be really valuable. So he's able. It's really hard to trade with Mimikyu too because you guarantee have to hit it twice. And in this format with low power, Mimikyu can sneak by and do a lot of damage. So I think Joe really cooked, and it's really cool to see him do so well, especially with Mega Tyranitar, solo Mega Tyranitar. I feel like you see a lot of dual Mega Tyranitar, but solo is pretty wild. And then we have a Sun team as our other semi-finalist here. This one is just a Mega Charizard version. So this is, or not Mega Charizard, it's a solo Mega, nothing crazy here. We got Whimsicott to give us Tailwind. We got a Hyper Voice and Prison Trick Room set. They were like, hey, I'm not losing the Trick Room. We have a Dire Claw and Bird and Sneasler, which I also think pairs well with Charizard. Scarf Garchomp is great with Charizard. And then King Gambit to round it all out. It just seems like a very balanced version of Charizard, right? You have two forms of speed control. You have that consistent Tailwind option instead of something like Aerodactyl to just start dealing damage right away. You can also pair it with Sneasler. I also think Whimsicott is annoying to get rid of. And it also has really strong fairy moves, believe it or not, because it does just run max special attack, max speed. So it actually does do a little bit of damage with that Focus Sash. Like, because it's running Focus Sash, it can run a lot of special attack. But yeah, this team just looks really, really solid. Sneasler as well is just great. Garchomp. It's just all good Pokemon and 2 speed control, guys. Now, finally, our finalists. We have Jorge in second here with Mega Charizard plus Tyranitar this time. I feel like Mega Tyranitar is a really great... This one's kind of interesting to me because he has Tyranitar with Charizard X, who I think Charizard X is incredible into the enemy Charizard, so I don't think you need it for that, but I guess having it for rain and stuff of that nature could still be really valuable. But yeah, Mega Charizard X, he's back again. And paired with Milotic, who I think is Mega Charizard X's like best partner because it really just again stops that Intimidate, enables Charizard to do its thing, and then we have 3 support Pokemon here to help either fake out or heal and Rage Powder to keep this guy going. This one's actually running Cobra Berry, which is really interesting because usually the Aerodactyls have Unnerve, but there is a bug in the game that allows Sinistcha to, for whatever reason, when Pokemon with abilities switch in, Unnerve doesn't work on them. So you do actually get to use the Cobra Berry at the moment with Charizard, or with against Aerodactyl, which doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. But yeah, this is just very similar to that Scizor team that we talked about earlier down here, but instead, that's not it. This one. Oh no, it just miscut, right? No, it wasn't there. I'm blind. This one. No, that is Floette. This one. There it is. This one. They're very similar. Really the only difference is the other Mega and then a few items. So they were clearly either working together or were on just the same wavelength. Again, I think it's so cool though. You have all these support Pokemon for Charizard, who I think is kind of a sleeper demon right now. Like a lot of people probably don't have a good matchup into him. And then also paired with Milotic again, just no Intimidate. Also, again, they enable Tyranitar as well, but Tyranitar doesn't actually have a setup move, and instead is just relying on a strong, consistent damage. Also, these Pokemon just hit hard naturally, right? Like, Sneasler is just so disgusting and so annoying, and so is Incineroar. They do enough damage by themselves that you don't really need the setup move if you're, I mean, you can coach them up too, if you're going along that route. So I just think this is a really cool team, and congrats to him for doing so well. And then finally, we have a Korean champion here with just one of the most boring teams in the game, but it's just very, very good. So we got Mega Charizard Y, no other Mega. We got Solar Beam, Weather Ball, Heat Wave, paired with Sneasler for that fake out damage, Dire Claw coverage, and then close combat. And then we have the star of his team, Coil Hypnosis Milotic with Muddy Water. with Recover to keep itself as healthy as possible and leftovers. Coil Hypnosis is disgusting. For those who don't know how it works, after 1 coil, Muddy Water can no longer ever miss. And then after 2 coils, Hypnosis can't miss. After 1 coil, Hypnosis has an 80% chance of hitting, which is absolutely crazy. That's a really, really strong, consistent sleep move that is very hard to deal with. And also, not to mention, the fact that Coil gives you a defense boost as well. You get an attack boost, which doesn't really matter, but the defense boost is really, really solid as well. Milotic is naturally very especially defensively bulky, so having that Coil boost, spamming those Muddy Waters, spamming those Hypnosises is absolutely insane. This was a set we actually saw during the Dynamax days, but clearly it holds up now. We have bulky Citrus Berry Garchomp to pair with these guys as well, Chopal Incineroar, and then Venusaur with Sleep Powder as well. So we have another Sleep Pokemon. And then we have those double stabs. I think this team is just really solid. We saw a very similar team get number 1 on ladder, number 1 in the warm-up challenge, but with Basculegion instead of Milotic. But this Milotic does seem really nasty into certain teams. In the finals, it was able to easily deal with all these physical Pokemon because this is a 5-mon physical team. No, it's 4 Mons, but Milotic is really bad into Zard. And then Sinistcha is really bad in the Zard. So it just kind of worked out for this perfect storm for this team to end up winning the tournament. And yeah, I think overall the meta we're seeing is Charizard is clearly the king. People wrote off Charizard. People were saying like, man, I don't know about Charizard. But in this open team sheet format, Charizard is the king. We have 2 right here. This one's Charizard X, of course. Another one there, and this is Charizard X as well. So, yeah, that's 4 and 2. That's pretty solid. Half of the Charizards, or half a cut was Charizard. And then it was a 4-2 split between them. Mega Scizor is clearly on the rise, very good into Floette. Also, we only saw the highest placing Floette is here. They all lost in top 16. They just didn't make it that deep into the tournament, which is kind of interesting. I do think Floette is one of the biggest enemies in the meta right now. Let me know what you guys think. Also, Gengar, very much not performing as well as you wanted to. And then we have a little Mega Gardevoir here. But yeah, it clearly is just Charizard's show. And then a couple of rogue picks like Frostlass, Meganium, Charizard X as well did incredibly well. And then Mega Tyranitar from Joe. So, I don't know. Floette really, really underperformed, which is very interesting in this one. Because I did think Floette would be absolutely nuts. And I mean, we see a lot of it down here. I think there are a lot of Floette players. Also a decent amount of Kang. I think Kang is a Pokemon that we're going to see. Yeah, here's the Floettes, dude. Holy. They're all swimming down there. But I do think Floette is still a top tier Pokemon. It's just maybe... the hate right now is just, I mean, is warranted, and it is hard for Floette to break through. But Charizard, winning another tournament, winning this $10,000 tournament, getting $3,000 for his trainer. Yeah, I think this is some good insight into how this format's going to go. Charizard is to be respected. Don't forget that. He is the best Pokemon right now. He is S tier, and you have to respect his chances of winning because he did it again. We'll have to see next week when we have the big other $10,000 tournament. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you're running down below, and we'll see you next time. Peace.